This morning you joined me in our 2022 Forest River DJSE. So we're starting with the inside of the camper this morning because if you don't like, this is my thought, if you don't like the inside of the camper, the outside doesn't much matter. So, I guess, so that's where we are. Okay, so I'm going to just pan around here, kind of show you what's going on. There's the very messy front of the camper with the bed. Now you do have a little half wall here, which is nice because when you're in here, and I mean there's not a whole lot of room, but there's enough room. So if you're in here and you have the curtain, which is right here, drawn across, you still have, well, I'm trying to do the motion, but I'm not filming myself. You still have a little bit of elbow room here to kind of move that curtain out. So anyway, we can start with this over here. You do have an emergency exit right by the bed, which is good. And apparently my curtain doesn't want to stay up today, which is interesting. There we go. Emergency exit window right there. This window is, however, different, a little smaller, where you kind of conventional, where you pull the latches, pull the window up. Nonetheless, you do have an outlet right here. There's supposed to be a Bluetooth speaker here, and you do have USB up here. We're waiting on this. It hasn't shown up yet. There's a couple things that we could talk about in a different video of things that we came across that needed to be fixed up and or were just manufacturer defects nonetheless. So anyway, outlet, USB up here, should be a Bluetooth speaker. Here's your little closet on this side. I don't think you can see it real well, but there is another outlet down there. That is actually where your hot water heater plugs in. Now your hot water heater is gas and electric, but that's where the electric portion plugs in. Little overhead storage here, same on the other side. You do have a light underneath here. That light seems to be a little much for when you're laying in bed, but nonetheless there is something there in case you need to turn on a light as you wake up to use the bathroom or whatever may have you. So over on the other side, basically the same thing. You do have two dual USBs and a regular outlet. Same type of setup, minus the hot water connection or the outlet for the hot water heater in there. And then one thing that I should mention before I get too far is here is one of two heat vents. So we'll cover that in just a minute, but keep that in mind. So this is your underbed storage, which where that black piece in your view there right in front, that goes through to the pass-through, but you cannot actually access, well, not the pass-through, but the outside storage. You cannot access that from out there or in here. So on a lot of campers, I know the underbed storage, you can access the outside storage as well, but not on this unit. So we're going to come back here a little bit, and this is, sorry, I got this in the way. This is a nice couch that they have. Excuse if you can see it. My dog was up here crawling all over, so it's a little dirty. Okay, so that's what I believe they call a jackknife sofa, where this will fold down and possibly give you two people to sleep here. And it does fold down. It's kind of hard to demonstrate with one hand while I'm holding the video camera. Now that other heat vent, I don't know if you can see it, is right here. So the furnace is right underneath your couch there, and there is storage. Oh, there goes the bed. There it goes. It folded itself. So now you get to see it as a bed. So there is a little bit of storage under there as well. And you do have this nice table here for sitting at when it is in the couch position. And it's nice that you have this window here. Now, there was a holder for this right there, right in that spot right there. I took that off because it's really comfortable to sit on this couch when it's in the couch position and lean up against that wall and stretch your feet out. So that's no longer there for that reason. Anyway, so that's a pretty nice setup, fairly decent couch. And then you got some storage above it. Look, you got our toaster there. A couple other items. Then you move over to the countertop, which is kind of nice looking countertop. I'll step back a little bit. 2 drawers, some cabinets underneath, a little cabinet right there to the left of the main cabinets under the sink. And I'll kind of talk about some of the features over in this section real quick. Sorry about the mess in here, but if you're used to doing any type of camping, you'll understand why everything's in the sink. That is something that is a breakable liquid. I didn't run into that problem. I was just going off of the good advice that I've gotten from other people, which makes sense. So store all this stuff in the sink, because if it falls, you want it to break open in the sink for obvious reasons. Anyway, there's a nice light under here. There's a second light under the vent fan, that is a real vent fan. It does vent to the outside. However, do make sure that you have the flap. There's an inner flap on the outside, and we'll show you that on the outside portion, that you have to open up and probably should close every time you're storing the vehicle or the RV. Anyway, back to the sink. There is a soap dispenser / hand sanitizer dispenser here. Little bottle underneath the cupboard that you can fill that up with. That's nice. Couple of outlets here. It's interesting that there are 2 right next to each other, but I think this one was kind of just put here for whatever you want to have over in this section. You know, maybe you have your laptop here or whatever, if you want to do any of that type of stuff. Whatever may have you. This is the only blind in here that is a corded blind, which is kind of interesting. Other than that, you have, I do like these inserts here on these cupboards above the sink. That's nice to have. Now, you'll see this spring and this spray wand here. It does have a sprayer on it. Instead of, it has 2 options, you know, where it just kind of pours out and then it has a sprayer. This is very much, how do I want to say it? This is not really functional as a sprayer. See how there's limited range where you're just kind of getting what you already have here. You're not really getting much more here. This is more of an aesthetic type thing, as more than it is useful. They do have this insert that you can put over. They got a bunch of junk on there. That you can put over the sink to provide more counter space, which is nice. And then that reveals the cutting board. They have magnets up here for the cutting board. Cutting board did come with the camper, so that's kind of a nice thing to have. 3 burner range here, and this is gas. Works really well. Little switch here for turning on the lights. Oh, you get those blue accent lights. Isn't that fancy? And then that also turns on the light inside the oven. So my wife did mention right away that it is not big enough for a normal size cake pan in there. Let me turn that light back on. Now, not that I think that my wife wants to make a cake while we're camping. Maybe she does, probably not. And if you want to make a cake while you're camping, by all means, if you can do it, go right ahead. But I think she was looking more at like the cake pan that's used for like a pizza casserole, that type of thing. We have done a couple pizzas in there. Works great. Definitely use the stovetop. Works great as well. You do have microwave up here. Decent sized microwave. I guess right now I don't know how many watts it is. Maybe I should have checked that out before I started talking about it, but works well nonetheless. Let me open up a couple of these. If you can see in there, it's kind of hard to see when I'm filming sometimes, but I mean, you get some fair amount of storage there. Anyway, let's keep moving to the left. So you have your refrigerator here, which is nice size, and the freezer as well. And this thing does work. This works great. The only complaint I have about the refrigerator is every time, and this is your battery disconnect down here, every time you turn this on, it turns the fridge on. So then I gotta come in here and I gotta push this button and hold it down for about 12 seconds to shut the fridge off. And if I didn't mention it already, the fridge is 100% electric. And I guess the reasoning for that is because this camper comes with a 50-watt solar panel. And they say that the solar panel will, if it gets full sun, here, let me turn the camera. If it gets full sun, it will run just the fridge alone for, I think, approximately 15 hours. Now, it does do good, and that is a nice feature to have, because you can come in here, turn your battery disconnect switch on when you're getting ready to go, when you're packing things in the camper. The fridge is cooling down. After you get your stuff in here, you can start bringing out your items that go in the fridge. Gosh, that was close up there. Pay more attention to the camera guy. Anyway, and this works great. There's this little latch here to keep the doors shut while you're going down the road. And then when your truck is plugged into the lights for the camper, you know, like the lights for towing the camper, there is a 12 volt there that is also going through and sending a little trickle charge to your battery, and that's also helping keep this fridge going. So between having a fully charged battery all the time because of the solar panel, or almost all the time, like right now you can see that it says 12.3, so it's had a couple of days where it's not gotten a lot of sun, so I shouldn't say fully charged, but between having the solar panel keeping that battery charged and having the power go through the camper when you're plugged into your truck, that helps out quite a bit. Now, not all trucks, even if they have a 7-prong hookup on the back, will have that 12 volt readily available to work. There are some trucks that you have to install a fuse into under the hood or whatnot. My truck, I did not have that, where I had to change a fuse or install a fuse or anything like that. Sorry about the sketchy information with that. I just know that all trucks, even if you have a 7-prong hookup, you may not get that 12 volt power. That might be something that you have to test out and check into. So just don't plug it in and say, hey, the guy on YouTube said I'm going to get 12 volts of power going through here, and that's going to help keep my fridge running while I'm going cross country for 4 days. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So here we can see to the left of that, the bathroom door there. It is open on the bottom and the top, which is good because you do have the large fan in here. And I'll show you that in a moment, but here's kind of a little bit of a view of the bathroom. And this is one of the only switched lights, actually, for its own individual light in the camper, and it can be turned on individually at the light. I'm not sure why they do that. So you have a nice vanity here and decent amount of storage inside the medicine cabinet. Toilet paper roll does not come with this model. I had to put that on, actually, legitimately. There's another outlet here. This is the only outlet in the camper that has GFI switches, that's ground fault interruption, and that covers all of... I'm going to come back out here. We're going to skip around a little bit. The outlets back here don't show it, but the one right here and the two right here show that they are GFCI protected outlets. And I did say ground fault interruption. I think that's what it's called, but you know what? Leave a message in the comments. But you're used to having ground fault outlets in your house where they all have the, not all of them, but they have the buttons on the individual outlets. Well, these are all connected to that bathroom outlet. So if you don't have power at any of these outlets out here, you need to come back into the bathroom and push the button that's on this outlet. So that's something to keep in mind. I did have that happen. So you have another little bit of storage here. It is dirty down there, and I don't know if you can see. There was a cardboard divider here to keep you away from the plumbing. I took that out for a little extra space. Didn't like that. Anyway, so then you have your shower, for whatever it's worth, the bathtub. Now, this might be a good thing to keep in mind. You know, when you take a look at that, obviously, you're, as a regular person, you're not taking a bath in there, but this is good for babies. You know, maybe if you got to get your dog inside and clean up your dog got all muddy or whatever, it's nice to be able to have that little bit of a basin in there. Do have the skylight here. That's like one of the most common things in campers, which is good, because as I climb up, now I do have my boots on, and I probably shouldn't have my boots on inside the shower. As I come up in the shower, you can see that my head is going into the skylight. Now keep in mind, I would be just a little bit shorter without my boots on. I am 5'11", and as I like to always say, an American-sized person. So this does work. I have used this shower now actually twice, so it's good for, you know, a quick rinse down. So it's a camper shower. I mean, how much do you want? This isn't the type of camper that you would buy if you're camping for a month at a time. I mean, you could do it, but, or if you're one of those off-grid people living off-grid, or people that live in a camper. You know, that's quite the lifestyle these days. A lot of people are doing that. This is not that camper, so this is not that shower as well, I guess is what I'm getting at. You got your toilet here, and I'll just sit down here. Sorry about the camera flying around. So you do have, even if that door's shut, you do have good room here. Little space, elbow space. So it is a fairly decent sized bathroom in here. And then you do have your maxi air fan, which is nice. There's 4 settings on here, and then the off. So I think you have to push, yeah, you have to push these to get it going, and then the off switch is separate. But anyway, there's your fan, push, pull, lock. You have to push this knob up to lock that once you get that cranked down. That's always important. So then that brings us over to the bunks. So you got 2 bunks here. It does have this kind of thinner, cheaper mattress, and I've started putting in these pads. These are just a foam pad that I have to finish putting together in there, because my kids were complaining about the stiffness of underneath the mattress. And this is just a, like I said, it's a cheap mattress, so something you might want to look into, upgrading what's either here or something underneath it, or perhaps over the top of it, to give a little more cushion. You do have a window that is a non-escape window in the upper bunk. 2 USB connections over there, right over there. You do have a privacy curtain up here, and you do have a privacy curtain here as well that goes across the upper and lower part of the bunk. So this is the lower bunk, and I don't have that blind up, but you do have a generous window here because, excuse me as I try and wiggle in here, you do have another emergency exit here. USBs over here, light there. And I did not point out, and I think you did see it, but there is another light up there. This one though, however, also has an air conditioning vent in it, the upper bunk. And I will tell you, not that I've stayed up here, but when I do have the air conditioning running, you might want to turn the vent so that it blows out towards the main part of the camper, because when the air conditioning is running, this does get very cold back here and there's nowhere for the air to go. So keep that in mind. One of your kids, you're gonna freeze out. And then yeah, so this bottom one did have a light and USB. They both have a light and USB. Now there is this ladder here. Now we only keep this ladder here during transportation and storage. This ladder did not come with the camper. And what we do is when we're using it, here I'll show you, we find that it's just convenient to put in the bathroom and prop up against this wall. So obviously that's for getting in the upper bunk, because there's no ladder system in this model. So I think what they want you to do is, they're thinking that it's kids, which it is kids using this, but my kids are 17 and 19. I have 3 boys. Anyway, they're 2 of them are twins, so that's why I only have 2 different ages, if you are catching on to that. They're, like I said, 17 and 19, so they're bigger fellows already. I think they want you to step here, and grab with a hand here on the wall, and then bring another foot up and get in there. I think that's Forest River's solution, but we have the step stool and that works easier. So there you go. Now on the other side of the wall there is a TV mount here, but now let's step back and take a look at that and kind of think about that. I did bring a TV into here, a small TV, and I was like, well gosh, that's not going to work, because that TV is going to come out here. It's going to block off access for the bunk. And I don't know if they sell a little TV like Forest River or the camping store. I should check into it where we bought it from. Excuse me. I don't know if they sell a little TV perhaps that just comes out to maybe here or whatever that fits in that space. But I have seen other people take this mount and mount it down here so you can get a nicer size TV in there. That's probably what I'm going to do. So moving on, there is a coax hookup right here. Now notice there is a little button right here, and that little button lights up a light. So you have a little built-in amplifier, because this is also connected to your antenna on top of the camper. So if you're not getting in what you need to get in, give it a shot. Give that little button a push. That might help you out. That is also an amplifier for your built-in radio. Then you have your outlet there. You have nice storage above the vanity. Or why do I say vanity? I keep doing that. I've done this video twice. Nice storage above the dinette. So please forgive me if I've called this a vanity previously in this video. Oh, it's going to get me on that one. Anyway, so you have nice storage up there. You do have your 2 regular speakers. Sorry about the light. 2 regular speakers for your stereo. Plus, if you come back here, you have a subwoofer for your stereo. And here is your stereo right there. It is not 12:49 a.m. You have an HDMI hookup, a USB hookup here. So I haven't played around with it too much. It also does have Bluetooth. I have Bluetooth connected my phone to it, so that works pretty well. I assume the USB is for a wired connection for your phone, and I would also guess that that would charge your phone if you wanted to hook it up here or whatever. Maybe you lay it down in one of these cupboards, whatever, I don't know. Same thing if you you could maybe set a laptop up here and put it in there and run the cord out to run some HDMI or something. Not quite sure, we'll figure that out. Thermostat up here. As I push this button though, like, it really fades it out and it's hard to see. Maybe it's easier to see on camera, but once the light lights up on there, you can hardly see what is on that display. Air conditioner right here, kind of bypass that. So it does have these vents that open, and that is kind of for when you first are setting up and you turn on the air conditioner, it just dumps a lot of air out those, and then you close them, and then you get your vented AC. And I did show you the one in the bunk, and I'm trying to find the other one. So you have the one in the bunk, you have this one here, this one, and then the next one back, which is kind of right over your couch. So this one I always have turned back this way for the bedroom area. This one you can turn wherever you, I mean, they can all get turned wherever you want, but it's nice to kind of think about where you want to turn them to help with your personal comfort. Anyway, we'll keep moving along here. Now this does have, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, because not everybody has been exposed to campers their entire life, and are maybe just getting into it. This table does go down and lays flush with where these cushions are, and then these cushions spread out, and you have another bed there. So you're technically, I think this is technically rated as an 8-person camper for sleeping, even though it's 26 feet of usable space inside the camper, and there's no slide out. So I think the bunks are rated for 300 pounds, so technically you could probably get, if your kids are a little younger and not fully American sized yet, you could probably get 2 per bunk. You could probably technically get 2 here, 2 here, and 2 there. So like I said, technically I think it does sleep 8 people. As we move around to this side, we have your control panel that shows your fresh tank, black tank, and gray tank, how full they are. Right now it shows empty, which they are. You're charging your battery, and right now it says good. You have a little Bluetooth connect button. This is your water pump. So if you're camping and you are not hooked up to an outside water connection that continuously feeds water, you're going to want this on the whole time, so that way anytime you go to the faucet, use the toilet, what may have you, or outside shower, your water's ready to go. This water heater button is, like I said, for gas only. As soon as you push that, automatic ignition kicks in and starts up the heat for your hot water heater. Now remember that it is a dual hot water heater, and there's a switch outside on the inside of the panel, and I'll show you. I'm not going to probably show you the switch, but I'll mention that outside. The electric portion of the hot water heater has to get turned on outside under a panel. Your exterior light, and this is only good for one light that is by your dump tank valves. Awning lights, we'll turn those on right now, because those actually turn your speakers blue, along with, when you look under here, you have a strip that lights up under your awning. So that's a nice feature to have. Excuse the slam of the door. That awning light actually provides a decent amount of light outside at night, which is nice. And why it has to turn on blue lights inside of your speakers in here, I think it does also light up your speakers outside. Yes, it does. It lights up your speakers outside. So, sorry again for the slam, that was probably pretty loud. So that's something that's kind of interesting. I guess whatever you want to call it, nice, whatever, they have lights. Extend and retract your awning, and then there's a Wi-Fi hookup here. I think this has something to do with a subscription with Forest River. Not quite sure about that. Maybe you can help me out in the comments. One thing that I should mention is you also do, over here by this switch, this is under your fridge. Now, sorry again about the bad camera positioning. This is a carbon monoxide detector. You can see a little light glowing right here. That is always on. Now, I say it's always on, but if I shut the battery disconnect off, it does shut off. So now that I did that, my fridge is going to kick back in, but that's okay. Right here is a fuse panel with breaker switches. Got some fuses in here. Breakers right here. So it probably would be good idea to carry some fuses with you for that. And then you do have the fire extinguisher right here next to the left of the door, for whatever that's worth. I guess we won't really get into that, but if you have to use that fire extinguisher, you better damn well be evacuating, because what's in that fire extinguisher, if this camper started on fire someplace, there's not a whole lot of time. So let's hope that you don't ever have to use that. If you do, you might want to just get out first. Maybe grab that on your way out. Maybe it can help mitigate the fire a little bit from the outside. I don't know. Don't take my suggestions to a full way of how to do something. I'm just saying, if something horrible like that happened, you might want to just try and get out. Do have the smoke detector right here. So there is one smoke detector, one carbon monoxide detector. I can tell you that the carbon monoxide detector does most certainly work. Excuse me for the coughing. I accidentally hit one of these valves one time, or I was complacent and didn't turn it off when I was futzing around. And I had the gas on. So that's the thing, is if you do have one of these open, you have the gas on, gas is coming into the inside of your camper. Windows were open, I was outside doing something, the alarm started going off, which I thought was really interesting with the amount of ventilation I had going on at that time, that carbon monoxide detector still went off. So I would say it is a fairly good unit, and is doing what it needs to do, as propane does go to the ground. So, which is why it is down there and not up high like a smoke detector, because propane is heavier than air. Anyway, so I guess that's that. That is the inside portion of the 2022 Forest River DJSE. Sleeps 8, almost 5,000 pounds dry. It does have just over 2,000 pounds of payload capacity. Remember weight distribution, with when you're camping, it is half-ton towable for most half-tons. Now, like I said, my weight on my truck is 7,700 pounds. A little bit of a different story because it's an electric truck. And that electric truck does pull this camper great, excellent. It does a great job, and that's a whole nother video. But just for anybody that's interested, I haven't gone the full amount yet of what I think I can get, but I have pulled it up to about 70 or just over 70 miles with that truck and still had range left. That is the standard excuse me, standard range battery on that truck. That's a whole different video, but what I'm getting at is it does it just fine, plenty of power. So if you do get into an electric truck, you can get this done with a 30-foot camper. It's actually 29 and a half feet total. And that's one of the reasons why this doesn't have a slide out, because if we do go to a campsite that we have to get to where we have to make a stop at a charger and we want to come in here, we don't want to have to worry about dealing with a slide out. And anyway, I don't like slide outs to begin with. It's just something else that can go wrong, more maintenance. So that's that. So you'll join me for the outside portion of this video, hopefully, and thanks for watching. Alright, so we have the outside portion of the video. Hopefully it's not too windy. You get kind of a compressed view because I'm in my driveway. So you do have a TV mount out there, coax cable right here, 120 outlet out here, right next to the door, a couple of speakers, nice big window, decent awning. The door is fantastic. That's a cool looking door. the good steps that are fully adjustable. These doors do match the outside door, but it's just an overlay. It's not like a glass like the door, actual door is. This is not a pass-through. I don't know if you can see it in there. There's a divider that separates it from the hot water heater. There is a light with a solar controller in here telling you what's going on, because you do have a 50-watt solar panel on the roof. I'll go around and then get back to that other storage unit. Sorry about the traffic. Do have a nice aerodynamic front approach to it. Light on the tongue jack, as well as power tongue jack, 2 5/16 ball. Most vehicles you're going to still want a weight distribution hitch, even though this is just under 5,000 pounds dry. I know most half tons required weight distribution hitch over 500 pounds of tongue weight. 2 propane tanks in here. You can pull this lid up, access your propane tanks. 12-volt battery, marine battery, or not, marine RV battery that comes with it. This one did almost get completely full of water somehow. I think maybe water was getting into this these vent caps here. And when I went to go open it up, it was almost submerged, so I had to drill some holes in it. Over here is hot water heater. Now, if you want to turn on the electric portion of the hot water heater, you do have to open the panel, flip a switch, and your electric hot water is on. The gas hot water is controlled by the control panel inside. Do not turn the electric on unless you have water in the tank, because you will burn it up right away. So you can see here, a dry weight is 4,771 pounds. So decent size. If this camper was fully loaded, it would be a little bit heavier, a little heavy technically for my truck. The towing capacity of my truck is 7,700 pounds. That is the 2022 Ford F-150 Lightning. I don't think it's... I think the towing rating is only that because I don't have the max tow package with the extra cooler. There's... Trust me, the batteries and the torque are plenty there to pull whatever the hell you wanted. Not that I'm recommending you do that. Anyway, so here's the service side of the camper. You do have your cable satellite hookup there, exhaust for your heater. We did use the heater on one of our camping trips when it was still cold. It was kind of snowing, rainy, windy. Heater works great throughout the camper. This is the window right by the couch, window right by the sink. You do have your vent for your exhaust vent for your oven. There are, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little cover in there you need to pop open when you're going to use that. We do have your shore power hookup right here, 30 amp service. If you can see down in here, here's your drain mass. This is a really big drain for your freshwater tank, and actually just a little ahead of the tires here, the axles, are your low point drains for your water. Going back this way, you got your fresh water connection here, city water connection as well. We haven't stayed at a campsite that has city water, but so we cut the last 2 times that we did use it, which we've only used it twice. We have filled the tank, and that's worked pretty well. I'm gonna open this up real quick for you to show you the shower, outside shower. So it is hot and cold. Not much there, but this is, you know, I mean, it's nice to have. It's something good for if you got to wash your hands off outside, wash off the dogs or whatever may have you. Black tank flush here. Then you have your gray and black tank flush as well. So I shouldn't say black. This does say black tank flush. This is for hooking up a garden hose to it and flushing it out. So your actual flush is down here. So with that, you want to do black first and followed up by gray. That helps clean out your sewer hose. Outside light here. This light does have a switch out here, but it does have to also be switched on at the control panel inside. So coming around to the back, and you can see, hopefully, up here, all four corners do have drip rails. So there is kind of like a little bit of a gutter system. You can't really see it, where the rain will come off those drip rails. Then back here, you got your standard lights up here. The reverse camera we have not gotten to work. Now keep in mind, this is a brand new camper, 2022. We're still working out some of the bugs on it and working with the dealer on some things. You do have a rack back here with the spare tire, so this rack folds down, gives you a few more options for certain things that you might want to have on the camper. But keep in mind, you don't want to have too much weight on the back of your camper. More tongue weight, if you have more tongue weight than you should, you know, you want to have 10 to 15%, but more than you should is better than not enough, I guess is what I'm gonna say, just to kind of sum that up. Now, this, before we get too far, this bumper does pass through here for storage in here. A lot of people put their sewer hose in there. I was not able to do so with mine, so currently I'm not using it for anything. Here's another look from the awning going off. It is a pretty decent sized awning, power retractable. You got your window up here for the upper bunk, lower bunk, dinette window right under the awning. So here is the other storage unit, and that as well is not a pass-through. Neither one of these storage units I can access for the inside, so that's a little bit of an inconvenience, but not a deal breaker nonetheless. And again, another black overlay on this storage door. So just another, sorry about the compressed view, like I said. So that's pretty much the view from the outside and what's going on the outside. I forgot to mention there is a dog leash right here, so it's kind of nice to have that. And as you can see, these two storage doors do have little latches to hold that up. So that's kind of a little bit of a quick summary of your outside of your camper. I'm gonna walk up here on my steps. Let's see if I can give you a shot up here. So right in the front corner over here is your 50-watt solar panel, then your air conditioner. In the middle there you might see a little bit of a circle vent that's for your bathrooms. And then there's another bathroom. There's another vent on the other side. And then you have your bathroom actual vent, air vent, and skylight. Those vents on top, I believe, are for your storage tanks. So there you have it. The outside, kind of looking over the outside and the outside features of the 26 DJ SE Forest River camper. So there we go.